Goodbyes are really hard, and rarely, if ever, do we really like them. But we have a woman with us this morning, a writer, in fact, who has an interesting perspective on goodbyes, and they are the subject of her new book that she's working on. Joining us now is Geer, an author, and really kind of somebody that really enjoys might be too strong of a word, but is fascinated by kind of the season of goodbyes and the possibility of new beginnings. Welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. I'm not even sure fascinated is the word, but it's just a very healing experience to get the words out, and it makes the goodbye a little bit easier, whether it's a goodbye when your child's going to college, whether it's a goodbye to a loved one being deployed overseas, or a goodbye because of a death.
Mm-hmm. So the genesis for this idea to create a book of goodbyes comes from your life story.
Yes. My father died late last year from cancer, and I was wondering how I could make a message to him, and what do I say and what do I do, and I just was thinking about that in bed one night and got up and wrote a letter, and I felt so much better.
It was healing, like you talked about.
It was very healing, very cathartic, and I felt a profound inspiration to gather other letters like this, put them in a book, and get them out so either other people will write them or other people can read them and feel healed.
So when we were discussing this in advance of this, I said, well, what if you don't know how to write a letter? And you said, I've got 4 great tips, and I love them. So the first tip that you offered us was to write from the heart, because it will flow from there.
Absolutely. And I think it's hard to know where to begin, but if you think of a specific incident that was very meaningful to you, that this person had in relationship with you, and you write about that, that's a good start. And you don't have to write everything. You can't write everything. But just
being specific, and you mentioned that as point 2, is really going to create that dialogue, that internal dialogue, and make the words come out?
Makes it more personal.
Okay.
It's not so general. And then you can repeat it. You think of another incident, and you repeat it until you run out of energy, or you run out of love, or you're...
Well, and you know, that kind of, I think there's that process of repeating those things. Also, that's where I could see the healing and, you know, that cathartic experience take place, because you're just going and everything's coming back and you're remembering, oh, I remember this, or, you know, even if it's a, you know, like you said, somebody being deployed. I remember when you were in 2nd grade and you, you know, you wanted to be a soldier,
yes,
or you wanted to be a brave firefighter, or whatever.
Or you told me this and it changed my path of life and made me a better person because of it. It's healing for the person who gets it as well. I think that's a big thing, is to give it to the other person.
So how do you do that? And what if it's not received in the way that we thought it would be? How do you handle that?
Well, I think you have to give the person his own way or her own way of receiving it. When I gave the letter to my father, he never mentioned it to me, ever. I think it was too emotional. But I know he got it, and I know he knows my feelings, and so I feel good about that. And if you can't give it, mail it. Have a friend give it.
Well, speaking of emailing, in fact, you are actively looking for these letters. So we're going to provide information. What's your deadline that we need to get these to you?
Oh, the sooner the better.
Okay.
Because then we can move on to the publishing.
How many letters do you hope to acquire for this book?
I hope to get 1,000 letters.
Wow.
I think that if I get 1,000 letters, that I will be able to see different categories. I've had people write to their pets after their pets have died. So that might be a whole section. There might be a military section. There might be children. I don't know.
I think it'll be fascinating to find out what different types of goodbyes people have experienced.
Yes.
They may have one that they present to you that you had never even thought of.
Right.
I can't wait till your book comes out.
Thank you so much.
It'll be a very interesting read. And we appreciate you coming on the show. We're going to provide information for you to submit your letters to her. We're going to put that information online at SONORANLiving.com.